We are glad you're with us for another edition of What's Next? Living Longer, Better, Smarter. This time out, travel, tech, and tulips. This episode is made possible by Jubilee TV, frustration-free TV for older adults that brings families together. Learn more at getjubileetv.com. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Fred. We have some interesting and fun guests with us today.
We do. We are going to be talking about something I know you'll love, flower arranging, a little later. But first, let's hit the road. AARP has a new survey out on how older adults are using technology for travel. With us from AARP is the Executive Director of Older Adult Technology Services, OATS, Tom Camber. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Fred and Mary. How are you?
Good. Tom, great to see you again. We're happy to have you join our podcast. So you have a really interesting survey here. Tell us about some of the findings.
Well, we don't get to survey older adults about travel every day, but we've been doing more and more work here at OATS and AARP, helping people with the technology side of travel. And so the research team this year decided to really go out and ask people what they're doing and specifically focus on the technology side. And we learned a few things. First of all, a lot of older adults, people over 50, are traveling. More than 2/3 say they plan to take a trip this year. They are spending substantial quantities of money traveling. The average cost is over $6,000 for a trip. So it's really a kind of a significant expenditure and commitment of resources for people. And they are, really, there's a lot of energy and a lot of interest in travel. We really dug in on the technology side. And what we found is that while people are really aware of tech and most people have some level of comfort, there's still a lot of desire to learn more. And not everybody is using all of the tech that can help them travel well. So we're actually, we put together a whole bunch of resources and are out talking to people about the best ways to use technology to be able to make your next trip your best trip.
Yeah, is some of this maybe some pent-up demand for travel following the pandemic? Hopefully following the pandemic.
Yeah, I believe that must be partly the case. People have now are more or less returning to public activities. They're more socially connected. Higher vaccine levels for folks, and also financially the country is more stable than it was, and I think people are able to feel like they can have a little bit of that dream trip that they've been looking for, and I think the post-pandemic period now is starting to look a little bit more optimistic for people.
Well, it seems AI is everywhere, including in this space. So tell us about the role that it's playing in travel planning and maybe even in the travel experience.
Yeah, we've been surveying AI at OATS for a bit here, and we have a whole series of trainings on it that we've put together. And those trainings are available, by the way, on our website, which is seniorplanet.org. And we have a section called seniorplanet.org/travel, and that includes some content around AI. What's happening with AI right now is it's extremely helpful for people in the early stage of trip planning when they're trying to generate an itinerary or a general set of ideas. The ChatGPT or the Gemini tools, whichever AI tool that people want to try to explore with or practice with a little bit, if you can get it, because they have that natural language format, and you can simply say, I'm interested in doing a trip to Central Europe during this month, and I only have 6 days, and I want to see a lot of castles or ski resorts or something. AI will actually go out and really gather from all these different resources and give you very specific itinerary options. So that early planning stage for people in AI tends to be the best. I've used it for that myself and found that it was quite helpful. But it also, because it's AI, and AI, as we all, we have to keep in mind, it is very imperfect in the results that it gives you. You have to check everything. So it gives you that first, you can say, give me a 4-day itinerary from Amsterdam to Prague and include a night train on there. It will give you all sorts of good useful information, but you then have to go back and check each step and make sure that what it's giving you is real and up to date, because AI sometimes does generate inaccurate results, and you have to make sure you use it just as a starting point, but not as the final part.
Now, I know AARP members love to travel. That's one of their highest areas of interest. So the idea is to make use of the technology to save time, save money, and sometimes find new experiences. What are some tips you have for everyone?
We have a few tips here. First of all, I think one of the really interesting parts of the survey that we did found that the vast majority of people traveling are traveling in groups and traveling with family and friends. Even about a fifth are traveling intergenerationally, so they've got their kids or grandkids in there, or their own parents, because they started with 50 plus, but we have folks up into their 90s that are traveling. So one of the really interesting things here is because traveling is such a social process for older people, being able to use technology to maximize that social benefit. So planning together with people in your group or your family, simply putting together a written itinerary that you email to your fellow traveling companions and maintain up to date, so everybody knows where they're going to be and the address of the hotel and things in case you get separated or want to go for a walk. And also sharing that itinerary with other people back at home so that people don't have to worry about you in the instance that something may go wrong or they're concerned. Earlier, what we've noticed is many people are using technology to book travel at a hotel or through an airline, but a very surprising number of people aren't using comparison tools. That was a little bit of a noticeable thing. There's a real gap there on price comparison tools especially. So one thing that we're recommending is that you before you book, you go on to one of the comparing tool sites. There's Expedia, there's Kayak, there's TripAdvisor, there's a whole bunch there. We recommend you try out a few before you settle on one. And then compare prices. Many people do like to book right at that hotel website or right on the airline site because they feel it's a little bit more direct, and they know not to worry about fraud in that case. So wherever you're comfortable with the booking makes sense, but that price comparison can really help. Other major things we recommend before you travel, when we traveled a couple of generations ago, you would always pack up your suitcase, or maybe you had a little trunk that you took with you when you went to, on a steamer ship or something. Today, you do it digitally. Today, you pack your digital trunk. And so you have to spend some time putting together the apps. So if you're going to be on an airline, you have to get that airline's app ahead of time. It makes it so much easier to manage the notifications and a lot of the online entertainment on the flight and things like that. It's really helpful to have the app for the hotels that you're going to and other accommodations. And then also looking over Google Maps, which is your navigation tool. A very large number of people are using those navigation tools on the fly while they're traveling. And then the other, I think, very important apps to again get on your phone or in your technology, ride sharing apps for where you're targeting. Not every country has Uber. Not every country uses Lyft. Some use Get or other kinds of apps. So understand what your local travel apps are going to be. And then finally, a few things that are really critical. We do recommend people using digital wallets because it allows you not to have to carry cash constantly or have an alternative. So you can set up Apple Pay or Google Pay on your phone, depending if you have an iPhone or an Android. And then finally, we really think it's helpful to use those tracking devices in your luggage or other things that may go missing. So with air tags or tiles, you can they're super easy to use, and they're like $20. You take one and you put it into your suitcase and like a pocket in the suitcase. And if the suitcase ends up at the wrong airport, you're going to know where it is, and you can help track those things down. So really getting that kind of the digital luggage together before you get on in the cab to leave the house is really important these days.
So you brought up scams. So a lot of people are worried about scams and fraud, especially when they're using technology. What can they do to protect themselves?
Well, there's a few things. First of all, being digitally comfortable is one of the best kind of protections against scams. People that are very isolated or have never used the tech and it's the first time, they're more at risk than somebody who's in the kind of daily use of technology as part of their life. So we recommend for the first piece of it is simply get a class, get a friend who's helping you, get yourself online more frequently. Senior Planet has classes every single day, including specific classes on fraud avoidance, but also understanding things like having a password on your devices and understanding what a strong password is, or using a password manager, understanding how to recognize scams and fraud, because there's very specific behavior that a lot of these scams use or try to take advantage of you with. For example, they'll call you and they'll try to give you, they'll try to tell you there's an emergency and push you to give them some personal information. And so if you've been trained to look for those clues a little bit, it's going to help you. AARP also has links within the AARP site around how to learn to recognize scams and fraud. So those are really helpful elements. People can also set up data vaults with all their data information so that they're able to make sure that they have their personal information secure and they know that they can recover it wherever they may need it. And then finally, there's simply good use of technology kind of throughout the whole process. One thing that we found in the survey, which was very interesting, people felt comfortable with the tech and they didn't have a lot of hesitation in the planning. And then they felt a little bit more hesitation when they were actually booking things and actually getting the trip going. But they were very concerned about using technology once they had already left home. And so thinking a little bit, that's where people are really concerned. It's you're out in a restaurant or a store or on the street in a foreign place, and you're having to make sure that you feel safe and protected. And so what we're recommending people do is think through what you're going to be using in those scenarios. If it's going to be your phone, make sure that your phone you've got protection there. You're using credit cards as your payment option, where you have the ability to have the credit card cancel a payment, not using a huge amount of cash, and also having people that you can contact to question if there is a situation that might be a scam. You can contact a friend or a family member, or even call the Senior Planet hotline, where we'll help you look for scams. We've got a hotline that is on the main page of our website. You can use that to check as well.
Well, let's go over again, Tom, where people can go to learn more.
So the two places to go. The first place is that AARP has set up a website that's available for people to go and check out the most up-to-date information for them, and it's aarp.org/travel tech 50+, and the 50 is a 50. And if you go to that site, you'll find all sorts of great resources from AARP that are posted. And in addition to that, at Senior Planet, where we have free training for people that's targeted for people over 60, we've set up a comparable page of all of our content that's at seniorplanet.org/travel. And there's just a wealth of resources and materials there that people can take into account right now. We have virtual travel tours on Senior Planet today. In fact, there's one going on in Paris as we speak, but we do them all the time. And it's interesting when, I always thought, people want to travel, they want to go in person. But we started doing these virtual travel tours a couple of years ago, and the staff came back, and I said, I kind of poo-pooed it and thought, how many people are going to do a virtual travel tour? Well, we have hundreds of people going on these tours now, and they're free for people on Senior Planet. They get phenomenal responses. People went to the Great Wall of China, and they went to South America together in Mexico City, and it's a live tour guide walking around in the place that you're looking, and everybody's connecting through Zoom, and they're really able to ask questions and explore. And maybe if you're not able to jump on a plane today and go somewhere to Europe, it gives you a chance to be there kind of present while somebody is showing you around and answering questions. And it's very popular. So we have some neat features like that on Senior Planet.
Tom, great information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate you having me here today. And it's great to hear you covering the topic as well.
Next up, some great new technology to improve the lives of older adults, pure genius. With us from Jubilee TV is co-founder and CEO Ashish Agarwal. Great to see you, Ashish.
Fred and Mary, it's my pleasure to be here.
Ashish, I just met you 4 weeks ago. We're so excited about what you're doing. We are excited to have you join us on the podcast. Let's tell everyone about Jubilee TV, what it's all about, and how it's growing so fast.
Yeah, Mary, I think you used the word 4 weeks ago, which kind of rung home to me. I used it before. I think the the sandwich generation, as I think is becoming a very well-defined term, is akin to climate crisis. And it's such a growing issue that people like us are facing, my in-laws and my parents. So, as a tech entrepreneur, 3 years ago, when I was at COVID time, really find myself challenged. How do we address this problem? And we had created a tech that would be really amazing for this. So I repurposed the company towards this goal. So the goal is think about a sandwich generation, juggling between your own kids and your own parents, living away from parents, parents wanting to stay in their own home longer. Can we create a tech that empowers family members to handle this situation far more effectively? So we created Jubilee TV. Okay, really born out of my need to take care of my mother-in-law and my mother remotely. It's a device. So picture a device that's like, I would say, a computer with a camera and microphone on steroids. It has HDMI inputs, connects to your loved one's TV. And we'll come to why TV and other things, right? But it is one place where seniors are really comfortable using that tech. And on the other side is me with a phone and an app on my hand, which is the device I'm most familiar with. And now we bridge these two worlds. We bridge it in a manner that I can do anything I want on the TV. I can see what's on the TV. I can communicate. I can stream from my phone directly on the TV. And I can get very rich insights into my parents' movement, TV watching habits that allows me to keep an eye on them without me being there in person. So that is what Jubilee TV is about. Two parts of this puzzle and bridging the gap, right? So that's who we are. So I hope I was able to describe the product and its use cases and how I envision this thing going forward.
So this is a box that goes on the TV that has a camera as well, and it allows the older adult to watch whatever he or she might want to watch. But if they have trouble with it, they can get help right away from a loved one from anywhere.
That's correct. So that's how it starts. That's how we started the whole company. We said, look, you should be able to watch any content really easily, connect any devices with very simple voice commands, very simple remote. That is how the birth of Kavo happened, right? And Fred, you mentioned early on that you were a user of the first generation product that was more targeted towards kids who struggled to use TV. But we realized there were a lot of seniors who were using our product, and families were buying it for seniors. So the genesis of this is about TV control, ease of TV for seniors, a curated interface. You know, you have 200 streaming channels, you have 500 linear channels, you even have sometimes a Blu-ray player connected or a DVD player because all your old memories are on a CD or a DVD sometimes. How do you manage this for a senior? That itself is a very large complexity. Netflix, YouTube, Amazon Prime, where do I watch the show I want to watch? So the first thing we do is really simplify that. So family curates an interface for seniors. Seniors can do it themselves, right? And now you're off to the races. You've already reduced the complexity for a senior a lot. They can watch whatever they need to watch. On top of it, you add an occasional family help, saying, hey, I was on a wrong input. Hey, the settings have changed. One of our board members, like Gary Lauder is another board member, Jason, his mom called saying, the voice is in Spanish. Like, what do I do, right? Can you imagine that? It would require a trip. It would require probably to explain your mom how to change audio settings on a Comcast box from Spanish back to English. Is talking French and Latin to them. So we could do that all because you can see what's happening on the screen and you can do it remotely. So that's
And it's a
really,
communications tool as well.
yeah. So then once we had this starting to work, we layered the second pillar, which is communication.
Hey, how are you? How you doing? How are you?
I've seen you. Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
Hi. Oh, haven't seen him for a long since last year.
Just this Saturday, there's such heartwarming. When somebody I don't know just sent an email to me saying this is fantastic. My dad the caregiver is knocking on my dad's door. My dad's not picking up. My brother and I try to call him. He is not picking up his phone. We are panicked. what to do. It would require either me jumping on a flight and going, or my brother driving 4 hours. They have Jubilee TV, they turned on the TV chimes louder. You can control how loud it chimes, and it woke up dad who had fallen asleep in a corner of a room, right? So the ability to get dad's attention and to communicate with dad at not just good times, but also not so good times, saving ER trips. So take communication from social isolation to a critical need. That is where the TV comes into picture.
Step us through how this is set up and how it's used by families and caregivers, and also how they're finding you.
Yeah, so three very important questions. And you've seen, like Mary, we spoke about the rapid growth that we've seen in 10 months is just absolutely fascinating. You now know as a startup that you have a product market fit. Setup, uh, the way you do it is you buy the device. It's $199 to buy the hardware. You own the hardware at that point. It's not a lease model, none of that. Uh, there's no contract, long-term contract or anything like that. You buy the hardware and you pay a monthly subscription on it. You can choose to prepay the entire subscription for lifetime or all in, we call it. You can you can do yearly, you can do monthly. So that's how people buy it. Um, and then the way to set it up is one of three modes. 90% of our audience sets it up, like family sets it up for their loved one in their home. So it's easy to set up. It takes between 20 and 40 minutes. You do have to do a little bit rewiring, but we have made it really, really simple. In case you need an occasional help, we have a very active call support center. You can call us. You can set up a virtual appointment. So you can say, hey, I'm going to set it up at this time. Make sure somebody from your team is available to take the call, right? So you're not like, standing in a call queue, for example. So we do that too. That's completely free. In case you're living further away from your loved one, we also have a partner called HelloTech who can send their technicians into your mom or dad's home and they can set it up for you. So there are three ways to set it up. Usually takes between 20 and 40 minutes. Works with any TV, okay, any devices that you connect. It doesn't require you to have a specific kind of TV. We know we can control any single TV's power state, which is like, less than maybe 30 years old or something. So the ability to make it mission critical was super important for us, right? When you need to know whether you need to make that 911 call and spend the $3,000 flying in a chopper or an ambulance truck to your parents' home or not, that's when we come in, right? It is not an optional accessory. It's not a nice to have, it's a must to have. And the way people find us today, 20% of our population is buying it as word of mouth. Okay. David Z told me, and I'll quote some of our investors. He said, your reviews make us cry. Like it is that powerful. And it is. Like I always wanted to be a social entrepreneur, but I never foreseen that it could really impact lives in the way they do. So 20% find just word of mouth. The rest find us through searches or through Facebook and Google ads, right? So that's our mechanism. People buy it, install it. We give 60-day free trial. We are so confident you can go try it free for 60 days. And if you love it, keep it. If you don't, no questions asked. With shipping return label, you ship it back to us, right? And off to the races. Very low churn rate. After they start using it, it's been really amazing so far.
So you have top tier investors, you have amazing patents, you have a great track record as an entrepreneur, and now you're having social impact entrepreneurship. I love the story. You found me in your office almost every week. So it's really exciting. Tell us about the feedback you've gotten from the families.
Every week we kind of, we have a Slack channel inside where we will post amazing feedback. There's feedback where it's transformational, life-changing is something we hear often. Game-changing, life-changing. People derive so much value out of it. People are saying, I paid twice as much money. I wish I had found this earlier in my parents' journey. The ability to see what's happening in the room, the ability to get notifications. So the third pillar, Fred, that I haven't really stressed as much is where I think we are going to go. It is the so-called notion where I'm busy as a child, and I care about my mom and dad, but I only have that much time, right? Given my teenage daughter who also needs help, like it or not, and my 60-year-old or 70-year-old or 80-year-old something parents, how do I juggle time? So we call it activity feed. It is essentially a richness of data around. So one simple thing we started to add is triggers. Let's say if your mom doesn't turn off TV in the night, notify me. Like, it's also not just the positive use cases, it's the negative use cases. Mom didn't turn on the TV because I know that usually by 10 o'clock she'll turn on the TV. Then notify me. So now the ability for me to get notified when something is not correct or it's out of the ordinary is really powerful. We can now tell you how long is your mom sitting down. Is she more moving around as usual or she's not? Because the camera and the Edge AI chip on the box, right? It's completely de-identified information. It gives you the power. We don't store anything on the cloud, all local. But imagine that scenario as you like close your eyes and move forward. I'll be able to say, look, you need to possibly react to your mom's situation early. Like, I think I feel bad that we could have caught my mom's cancer at least 10 months before we did, right? She's already at stage 4 when we did that. And there is no reason why in today's world with so much technology, we can't have such kind of things at home that tell us in advance what is going to happen, right? Mom's feeling lonely. That's natural, right? Sometimes mom's not watching as much TV as she should, right? Mom's flipping through channels much faster. There is something not correct, right? All of these things are so powerful. So the third pillar is activity feed, Mary. That's the one that I think we are going to go drill down deeper and deeper and give really rich analytics to kids that will allow them to take care of their parents remotely.
Just amazing. So you mentioned, Ashish, that the box itself is about $200. What about the subscriptions? Are there different levels, or tell us about it?
Yeah, so right now, Fred, we've kept like things very simple. It's one level of subscription. You pay $29 a month, or $269 a year, or if you don't like subscriptions, you pay $499 one time, and there are no subscription fees afterwards, right? So this is the only one subscription tier, right? Just different modes of payment, monthly, yearly, or all in. And you can enjoy any features, any number of uh, family members can onboard onto the platform. We have one very lucky, I wish, like, and when I grow that old, he has 27 family members who actively talk to grandpa. It is like, I wish, So we've designed the system to be really scalable. So all of that comes in one membership fee. Um, you have customer support that will pick up your call anytime. We don't hide our number like everybody else does. The first thing you need is call us if you need any help, right? So all that goodness is built in.
Ashish, congratulations again on your innovation here. And thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you, Mary. It is my amazing pleasure to be here, and I look forward to working with both of you as we try and make an impact on this space that is only going to get us, that needs attention, not just from us, but at every level.
Mary, our next guest has been focused on flower arranging as a form of self-care. Talia Boone is the founder of Postal Petals. Hi, Talia.
Hello there. How are you all? Great to see you both. Thanks for having me.
We're really happy to meet you, Talia. Flowers are a real passion of mine, and I love flower arranging. And you've started a program to teach flower arranging as a form of elder care. So I find this very fascinating. I was so excited when we discovered you. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the company's called Postal Petals, and we are an immersive floral and wellness company that uses fresh cut flowers and do-it-yourself flower arranging as a tool for self-care, creative expression, wellness, mindfulness, and for some therapeutic practice. And so what we do at the foundation level of our offering is that we partner with domestic flower farms to ship boxes of fresh cut flowers to our customers all across the country for them to create their own arrangements as part of their own creative creative self-care or therapeutic experience. And with that, we're very much aware of the benefits of flower arranging, right? It's, data that proves that creativity is a form of stress relief, and engaging with nature is in and of itself known to improve well-being. And as we continue to work with those products, we started to realize that there were certain demographics that really benefited most from flower arranging as a activity. And we found that community really to be seniors. And because what happens with the arranging is, yes, we have the boxes that go out, but more importantly, particularly with our senior population, is that we also do both virtual and in-person floral design workshops where we actually take the time. We've created curriculums for each specific audience that we serve. And with our seniors, we do our workshops that really focus around the activities that help to improve, cognitive function, that help, bring them into spaces where they can socialize with each other, right? Thinking about some of the things that impact the senior community, where we see our biggest strengths with those with that particular population is with their social wellness and bringing them together to socialize with others, their emotional wellness, because flower arranging, again, is just an activity that helps people to just, generally feel better. The just general presence of flowers is enlightening, but then that creative experience is really great for their cognitive care. And then environmental wellness, which, in this case, we mean like spatial beautification, just something to always kind of look at and kind of brighten your day and brighten your space. And we find that our senior members have really been have benefited most from those offerings.
So you're really involving all of the senses here, it sounds
Yes.
like. How did
It's
this come about, Talia? Tell us the story.
the story, it's so crazy. I still can't believe that this is my company. I always say that if anyone would have told me 5 years ago that I would have this company, I would have been like, you're absolutely crazy. That's not anything that I would have thought that I would have been doing. I was arranging flowers at that time, but I was arranging it for my own self-care, right? So I was introduced to flower arranging many, many years ago by a friend, and it was really just meant to be a friend activity, right? I have really good friend of mine, and we kind of have this commitment to each other that when we get together, we're not going to just get together to have drinks or lunch or something like that, that it should be over an activity, or it should be with us doing something that we hadn't done before, because that's where those are the times that you make really fun, lasting memories. And so one of the activities that she suggested was flower arranging. And we did it, and I just immediately was drawn to it. I really enjoyed it. I found it to be shockingly relaxing. I just did not expect it to be as relaxing as it was. And I thought to myself after it was over, I was like, wow, I really like that. I wonder, will it always be? Let me try it again, just to see if that feeling was if that's really what I got from it. So I tried it again. I live in LA, and fortunately, it's the second largest flower market in the world, which I've come to find out in starting this company. I thought all cities had flower markets like ours, but I would just go down to the flower market, mill around, kind of pick whichever flowers really spoke to me that day, made me feel good, I thought would look good together, were beautiful. And I would go home, I'd pour a cup of tea, put on some soft music, and I would just lose myself in the experience of arranging. And I did it again and loved it, did it again and continued to love it. And before I knew it, it just really became my form of self-care. Whenever I'd feel stressed, anxiety, anything that was any kind of feeling of unsettlement, I would just go down to the market, get flowers and arrange them. And I could just always depend on arranging flowers as a place to decompress. And so fast forward to how I ended up starting the company is during the very early days in the pandemic here in LA, we went on lockdown maybe about I guess the second week of March, and it was meant to just be 2 weeks, and 2 weeks turned to 4 weeks, and 4 weeks turned to 6 weeks. And I started to stress out, as most people did, around the uncertainty of it all. What does this mean for my family, my livelihood, my life, my health, all of these things? And so it was actually my therapist who said, Talia, I haven't heard you talk about arranging flowers in a couple of months. Why don't you try that and see if it helps to kind of calm you down? And I thought that's a great idea, but the flower market was closed because of the pandemic lockdowns. So I thought, oh, that's fine. I'm sure I could just go online and find a company that could ship me flowers to arrange. At that point in particular, you could get anything delivered. So I hopped online and searched and searched. And I didn't find that. I kept finding companies that would ship me flower arrangements that were already done, but none that sent me like a kit that I could break apart and on my own have that DIY flower arranging experience. And so fast forward a couple of weeks of searching, I ended up stumbling upon this wholesale flower distributor who shipped very large volumes of flowers to his retail clients all around the world. And I called him really just to see if I could convince him to reduce his minimums enough to ship me a consumer-sized box of flowers. And while he was immediate in his no, he was also very gracious in his no and incredibly generous in his explanation why. And he and I ended up on the phone for about 2.5 hours. And by the end of that call, I recognized two things. One, that what I was looking for didn't exist in the market, right? There was a hole in the market. And given my background in, brand marketing, PR, strategy, I know how to recognize a hole in the market. And the second thing that I recognized was an opportunity to enter what was traditionally more of a gatekeeper type culture in the floral industry, because of what was going on with the pandemic. There were no events, no weddings, there were no place really for farmers, domestic in particular, to get their product into market. And so I was coming with a new concept that would help them to bring their product to market. And so right then and there, I asked him at the end of the call, like, hey, do you think something like this could work? And I kind of described a very rough version of Postal Petals. Maybe we work with some farm partners and they ship just small boxes of flowers that people could arrange themselves. And he thought about it for a second. He said, if you would have asked me that 4 months ago, I would have said absolutely not. But today, given the current situation with the farms, something like that that may actually work. And so that was the first week of May in 2020. And by the end of July of that same year, we launched Postal Petals in beta with almost 20 farm partners signed up to ship for us. And we've been off to the races ever since. We've been featured in Forbes and Essence and Black Enterprise, Good Housekeeping, BuzzFeed, we've been a little bit of everywhere. So it's been a wild ride, but it just was something that I had an instant instinct about it, and it's proven so far to be the right one. So I'm in love with this company. I'm obsessed with it. I always say I'm so honored to have been chosen to start and build this company.
Tell us how people can join and how they get involved with you.
Yeah, so they can visit postalpetals.com. And in fact, our entire digital footprint is all Postal Petals. So we're at Postal Petals across social media and postalpetals.com on our website. And so, as I mentioned, we have our DIY bloom boxes that we ship everywhere across the continental United States. We have 3 box sizes that people could choose from. We have our beanie size box, which is our smallest size box. It's named after my forever daughter, Beanie Baby Boone. And it's got six bunches of fresh cut flowers that people can break apart and arrange themselves. Our medium-sized box is called our midi box, and it comes with 9 bunches of flowers that you can break apart and arrange on your own. And then our largest size box is our biggie box, which comes with 12 bunches of flowers that you can break apart and arrange on your own. And then we also have a subscription offering where you're able to subscribe to have our boxes delivered for your creative and self-care experience to be scheduled every week, every other week, or once a month. And then we have regular virtual floral design workshops that people from all across the country can join virtually. And then also we have select in-person workshops that we'll do in different places around the country. And then we also, as an aside from where you can sign up, and kind of, pay for workshops, we also do a few, each month we try to do a handful of free community wellness initiatives where we're able to kind of go to underrepresented communities and introduce flower arranging as an attainable form of self-care. And we usually will couple that with some sort of movement like restorative yoga, walking, stretching, that kind of thing, followed by meditation, sound bath, guided meditations or breath work. And then we take that energy into a really peaceful floral design workshop. And it's a really beautiful experience, but one that people can replicate at home over and over again through our service.
And are you working with some older adult communities?
We are working with some older adult communities. We have a couple here in LA that we work with, and there's a few in Louisiana that we're working with, working on building some relationships really across the country. The good thing for us is because our infrastructure is for shipping, we can do anything across the country. So our vision is really to be in, pay centers, care facilities, assisted living facilities across the country, and to be able to have our offering be available to residents of those facilities across the country.
Step us through how the online component works, because this is available to everyone, I assume.
Yes, absolutely.
How it works. I mean, it's more than just ordering a box of flowers, because then you have the instructional component online. Tell us how it
Yeah.
comes
So
together.
thank you for asking that question, Fred. So there's a number of ways that you can do it. So with our boxes, the baseline way is you order a box of our flowers and they're shipped. They'll shipped right to your door, your home or office. And then when you open the box, we've got like your first kind of initial care tips right there. So as soon as you get your box, it says, let's get these flowers trimmed. Let's get them in some water. Let's let them, hydrate, because, again, we are very different from what people would consider a traditional florist, right? We don't, deliver same day by 2 o'clock. We ship our flowers overnight from our farm partners. So our flowers are absolutely farm fresh. So when they arrive, they do need to, have some time in water to just kind of rehydrate, recover from their journey. But typically after about an hour or two in the water, they're ready to arrange. And so on our boxes, there's a QR code that you can scan. We also email a link to the recipient where they can go onto our website and be able to follow very easy to follow instructions on arranging. But one thing that I'll say that is really important is that we really try to, when we're doing our workshops, we really try to focus on the fundamentals of flower arranging, giving you really important care tips around how to trim your flowers properly, removing the leaves below the waterline to prevent mold and bacteria, techniques like crisscrossing stems, and, ideas around arranging, like, arranging in 3s or 5s, or, thrillers, spillers, and fillers, which are some, concepts around like the way people try to arrange. But what we are really intentional about doing is not telling people what their arrangement should look like after. So like if you go on our website, you'll notice there's not a ton of arrangements on there. And that's actually really specific because, comparison is truly the thief of joy. And what we don't want is for anyone to see an arrangement and think that they have to make their arrangement just like it, or somehow they have failed. In contrast, what we want is for people to get those flowers, have our care tips as a guide, but really allow themselves to the creative expression to come through their arranging experience. And so that's kind of what we do for people who just buy our boxes for them. Or we have a number of people who will, for their parents, for, elder members of their families. We also do gift subscriptions, where you could have like a prepaid gift subscription. They'll receive a box of flowers every 3, 6, 9, or 12 months. And with those, you can also, kind of do some arranging on your own. But we also have a couple of subscribers who they send it to multiple members of their family. And this is something that they do virtually together every month. It's really beautiful, where they all get on Zoom together and arrange their flowers. It's like a beautiful time to just kind of engage with members of the family that are all across the country, but everyone's doing something together with grandma or with great aunt, or, it's really lovely. It's a really beautiful way to bring people together. And it's so much more interactive and social than just kind of a boring like Zoom or FaceTime call. It's really, being able to engage with them, directly. Another way, a third way that we'll see people engage with the flowers is with in person. So we'll have people that will have us send the boxes of flowers, maybe a larger box, and they'll actually take the flowers themselves to the care facility where their elder relative is, or, bring them into the home, and they'll, other family members will all come together, and it'll be a family kind of activity around those flowers. And so that's kind of how we work I guess you'll call it on the consumer side. Then when you're thinking about in our work with care facilities, it's somewhat similar, except for we're doing it for a larger group, and we're doing it at the helm of, under the direction of the activities director directors or the care directors there. So we're able to do virtual, where we can send all of the flowers to the facility, along with instructions for the staff there of how to prep the flowers for the activity. And then when it's time to get on the workshop, they bring everyone into kind of like a community activities room, bring us up on the screen, and we'll lead them through that workshop virtually. It's not, to be honest, too different than what you'll see seniors, what they'll do with like silver sneakers or something like that. But instead of the physical activity, this is the mindful mental health activity. And then for in-person workshops, we'll just bring the flowers in, we'll bring the mindfulness leaders, the floral teachers, bring them actually in-house inside the facilities and do the workshops. Does that answer your question?
It does. You're really making Zoom bloom.
Zoom bloom, I like that. I'm gonna write that down, making Zoom bloom. I like that.
Wow, I just love this idea. Talia, thank you for sharing with us and congratulations on all you've created
Thank you
and
so
are helping other people to create.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm so honored to have been chosen to start and run this company. Like I feel like we are spreading floral joy across the country, and I'm so grateful to be able to do it. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Talia, and thank you again to Tom Camber at AARP and to Ashish Agarwal from Jubilee TV, which is also our sponsor for this episode. Jubilee TV means frustration-free TV for older adults that brings families together. Learn more at getjubileetv.com. And of course, we appreciate all of you spending time with us. And remember, you can always find us at maryfurlong.com/podcast.